Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Shaky here with another video, and in this video I'll be talking about what's the purpose of having one difficulty setting for a challenging game. Let's get started. I'm splitting the video into 4 sections. First, what's so good about a difficult game? Second, what's the purpose of having one difficulty for the player? Third, what's the purpose of having one difficulty when developing a challenging game? And lastly is the conclusion, outros, those stuff. And yeah, let's go with the first one. What's so good about a difficult game? Is it the feeling of rage after failing so many times? Is it the feeling of frustration not being able to progress through the game because of this wall, because of this enemy? Is it the feeling of sorrow after destroying your favorite controller? Or even worse, the device you are using to play the game? Yeah, that can happen. That's one of the bad things if we allow it to frustrate us, to make us angry and do some stupid stuff. What I do if I get too frustrated with the game, I just close the application. I'll say to it, I'll do it tomorrow, just to take a rest from it. But why do I come back to it if it gives me so much negative feelings? Well, there's actual a positive feeling with it when you play a challenging game. It is the feeling of accomplishment, victory, after overcoming the obstacle, the difficulty, the hardship that you face when playing games that give you a new challenge you've never faced before, giving you an opportunity to master your skills and make them even better. That's one of the best things about a challenging game. The thrill of trying to get better. The feeling of accomplishment after getting better. After beating the boss and being victorious. That's what's great about difficult games. Even if they give us some bad moments in life, they always give us a much more memorable moments, the best moments. Yeah, that's what's good about difficult games, giving us an opportunity to challenge ourselves, to give us a challenge to do something, get better, and get and maybe, and just maybe, beat the game. Not all of us can do that. Some games are much too much for us, but if we are determined and willing to go through the hardship, we might be able to accomplish what we want. Yeah, that's what's good about a difficult game. Those are some nice benefits from a challenging game. But do all players have the opportunity to experience that challenge? In a multiplayer game, definitely, you'll always face against a much more better player than you are. Darn you, you jelly bean! Anyway, that's in multiplayer. But in a single player game that might have multiple difficulty settings, and all of us are intimidated by difficulty settings, not all of us. And when we ever do pick which difficulty, we always pick the balanced. Not hard, not easiest, not the nightmare one. No, balanced, because we think that's what's the actual nature of the game where it should be. That's how we think. But some games are actually, their true nature are a much higher difficulty. You have to pick the hard setting to actually experience the true experience of the game and give you a challenge. I'll give you an example. Jedi Fallen Order. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And if any of you actually do pick up this game, I do highly recommend you pick the hardest difficulty or the second highest, but definitely the highest, because that's where you can get a true challenge with the game and actually experience and get the opportunity to get better in that. Yeah, that's an example of a game where if you pick the normal setting, it's not gonna give you a challenging game. And if the game itself is not challenging, where if it's just easy breezy, it's not gonna be very memorable. If the game has some difficulty, you'll remember it more because you've had some difficulties. It was hard to overcome them and you tried to master it. You sweat so much to actually beat this boss, and it'll become more memorable than if the boss was so easy to beat. Yeah. So there's a very good benefit of having one difficulty setting. And that is to guarantee that you actually get to experience the difficulty, the challenge itself, and to make some memories of it. Maybe some good memories and some bad ones, but they'll be more memorable than the easy memories. Not easy memories, no, memories that you play the game that was easy. It's very much gonna fade away unless it's very charming. Yeah, that'll be more that'll make you remember. But if it also was hard, it's gonna be even more memorable, charming and hard. So yeah, having one difficulty for the player to allow them not to, question which difficulty is the best difficulty. It's going to be very intimidating for them to pick which difficulty. They'll go with balance. Should pick the other difficulty. Having one difficulty makes it easier for them to experience the game in its true nature, get memories from the game, and maybe, and just maybe, if they do actually overcome the challenge, get the sense of victory. So yeah, having one difficulty allows players to make it easier for them to actually experience the true game in its true form. Now, the game that we play are made by people, developers. What's so good of having one difficulty when developing a challenging game? The answer itself is very obvious. It is to refine and perfect the core experience. For example, when they're testing a character's attacks and balancing his damage dealing, making it between too powerful or too weak, making it enough satisfying but enough to make it not too overpowered for you to give you more of a challenge when attacking an enemy. And also taking damage, changing the levels between being too powerful, too weak as well. Like when testing a boss fight, if the boss itself is completely a breeze, yeah, they have to toughen it up just to be more fun when trying to face the boss itself. And if they were to focus on multiple difficulties and not focus on one difficulty when refining and perfecting the whole experience, there'll be a slight chance they'll not will not reach to its full potential. I'm not saying that they can't simultaneously test different difficulties. All I want them to mainly focus on the only one difficulty, the main thing, to perfect their game, to make it the best it can be, and then add the other difficulties, like a new challenge, and also the much more easy mode, where it makes you feel like complete invincible powerhouse. Everybody likes that. But when we want to make the best game it can be, focus on one difficulty, refine everything, and then we can get the best version of that game ever. And if unfortunately they do not focus on refinement, it will lead to making the game less fun when you put it on a higher difficulty. For example, Skylanders Imaginators. Skylanders is a franchise I love very much. I like a lot of things about it, and I dislike a lot of things about it as well. One of those things is the difficulty setting, more specifically with the recent entries. Now, in Skylanders Imaginators, if you want to play an older character, you put it on the portal and you play as him in this game, it's not gonna be very fun. It's gonna be mostly like hit and run. You basically hit the enemy and then run away. It's not like you dodge them side to side. You keep on running and running and running. It becomes more of a chore than a fun adventure. Like here in the footage, you're seeing me playing as Double Trouble, and I'm just circling around and around and around and using one attack, only one attack. I can use the other ones, but they're not very effective. The game itself is forcing me to play like this to keep myself at the top, and it just removes some variety of gameplay. The gameplay itself, the combat, only complements the newer characters or some of the older characters, but not all of them. That's the problem. And that's because the developers themselves did not focus on refining the gameplay and balancing everything to its maximum peak. Now I know that they had to test 177 characters. Yes, people, 177, not enemies, characters, to test them and see if they work. And they might have not actually managed to balance them out. And just led to a not very fun experience when picking the wrong character for that game. That means if you want to play that character and have fun with him, you play them in their original game when they were first appeared. Yeah. And another example I'll give you is Kingdom Hearts 3. Yo, 3. Dream Drop Distance was more challenging than you are. And I played that game on normal, and I was very confident to play you, number 3, on proud. And you let me down. Yeah, indeed, people. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a very fun game. Nice. A little bit confusing with the story. But the gameplay itself, the combat, the challenge, there was none. Now they did actually fix that by giving us an update, giving us critical mode, but I would have really liked to have the between critical and between proud, just an additional challenge. Critical mode is the hardest challenge ever, and just want to experience this challenge, but not to that extreme. And they did also give us DLCs. And those DLCs were one of the best DLCs. I do recommend, if you want to play the best bosses ever, buy Kingdom Hearts 3 just to play those DLC levels. But if you want, but do not do it if you don't want to be confused with the story if you've never played the older titles. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 was unfortunately a victim to not refining the gameplay, the core gameplay itself, and it led to not a very challenging game. Only in the DLC rather than the core, rather than the base game itself. So yeah, I think I've talked about everything about what's the purpose of having one difficulty setting. So let's summarize and end the video. So yeah, a challenging game. it has the benefit of it just give you a challenge, and the purpose of it just for players is to know that this is the true definitive experience of the game. So you wouldn't actually ask yourself, is this the actual true experience? Yes or no? No, no, no. If it's just one difficulty setting, yeah, that means it is. And for developers, when creating a challenging game or even any game, focus on one difficulty, refine everything, and then add them, because focusing on one will eventually lead them to perfecting their game, and show us their true vision of it. Yeah, I thank you very much for watching the whole video, and it means a lot to me. I know I wasn't uploading a lot, and I'll try to upload a new video maybe in the future. I'm not gonna guarantee anything. Do comment down below about my commentary and the video editing. And also tell me if you like the footage I've captured. All of them I played, and yeah, they were nice. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good night. Bye.